Hi everybody, welcome back. And so currently we are holding short at runway 16, so we're getting ready to take off. So let's just go over a few things that we need to do before we take off. So pre-takeoff, we need to go ahead and make sure that you unmuted your the warning system here. Make sure that your autopilot's still set up correctly the way it was. Go ahead and turn your landing lights on. Make sure your taxi light is on. And if we're clear to take off, we put on our strobe as well. Go ahead and put your strobes on. If it is icing, icing occurs at +10 to -10 degrees Celsius in between those ranges, so you'd want to put your engine ices on as needed if you need to. Our flap should be set to 9. Our trim should be set in that green area, which it is, so you shouldn't really have to change it. One thing I meant to do last time was our pressurization altitude. You need to change the altitude to our landing elevation. At Fort Lauderdale, it's a whopping 10 feet above sea level. But yeah, set that up. In the manual, it says to press the takeoff go around button. So go ahead and do that. I haven't had a problem with doing that. But when you do that, that changes all of this. So I don't think you really need to press that button. In the manual, it says to. I wouldn't worry about it because I've never had a problem with it. Make sure your frequencies are set up once again if you need to. And then one thing that you guys have noticed is there's a way to test it. Test if you're ready to take off. So first, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and set our condition levers to flight. Control F4. You'll hear those RPMs start raising up like they should, and everything. So, and then one way to test it is to press this button here, this takeoff test button. One thing to note, if you have your parking brake on, it will beep. Now watch this though. I know that a number of you have had this problem. What the heck? I got everything set up, everything's right, I don't know what is wrong. Okay, I don't understand. I figured out the problem. Your spoilers aren't armed. That one thing, I think I forgot to mention that in the last tutorial, and by freaking nature it was on or something like that, and it was able to go through. Once the spoilers are on, you don't get it. So make sure that your spoilers are armed for takeoff, so that if you have to go around or abort, they'll deploy. So that's cool. I didn't notice that. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take off here. So make sure your heading's all set and everything's all good, and we're gonna go ahead and line up. Okay, cool. So while I'm taxiing onto the runway, let me just mention a thing or two for you. There we go. One thing you're going to be looking at while you're taking off is your engine quadrant over there. There are two things you do not want this engine to do. You don't want the torque to go over 100, and you don't want the engine general temperature to go over its limit. So you need to be watching that. As soon as either of those happen, then you just drop the throttle right there. You don't drop it, but stop advancing the throttle. So we're going to slowly advance it, watching those numbers. If anything highlights green, we need to stop it. Okay.
Takeoff power
looking
set.
good. Full power. Takeoff power set.
Knots.
Nothing's highlighting green. Full power, good.
V1, rotate.
Alright, we're rotating. There we go. Nice
Positive
smooth
rate
takeoff.
5.
Positive rate, gear up. Check that lever to make sure.
Gear up.
Good. Okay. Nose down. Following that line. Going a little out of control there. And then go ahead and put our flaps up.
Flaps up.
Remember that magical number. We're trying to climb out at 145. So what? Okay. Climbing through 1,000. Go ahead and open up your autopilot's right here. You can go ahead and press that, Shift 3, and the autopilot's right there. And go ahead and set your can't talk right now. Your vertical speed with this knob right here. So bring it down to go up, and you can also see it change right there. So right now I have it set to 1,400 feet per minute, or 2,000 right now. Right now I'm trying to get it to decrease. Actually, what we're going to do is we knew that magical number that match, and I'm just keeping an eye on my FMC too. I don't want to pass that point. That magical number for climb out was 145. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this on indicated airspeed mode right there. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. That's going to set it at the current indicated airspeed, and then I'm going to bring that down to 145. So by scrolling this to the down area, scrolling up to 145 for our climb out. That's going to significantly increase our angle of climb. Okay, cool. So we're climbing out, everything's good. So let me just do a quick go over, because I know that happens so fast. So what we did is we checked everything. We made sure that we were good to go. We pressed the takeoff button. We made sure there was no horns. We made sure that our spoilers were armed. You can go and disengage them now if you want to. And then we started taking off. We took off. We advanced the throttle slowly but firmly, and we checked the engines to make sure that nothing went over. We made sure that the torque didn't go over 100, the engine general temperature didn't go over its limits, and then we made sure that the throttles were full forward. VR rotate, we took off. Positive rate, we brought up the gear. About 140, we brought up the flaps. Cool. Ooh, hey, perfect timing. We're getting some ice. That's weird. But hey, so for the icing, you can go ahead and look at your wings. I don't see it on the wings, so it's probably engine ice. But I'll go ahead and just do a full cycle on the wings. Auto cycles right there, that blows up those cool things. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the props and the engine icing on. When you turn those engines on, the torque is going to decrease substantially, and your engine general temperature is going to increase. You need to pull this back so the temperature doesn't increase too much. All right. So what we're going to do next, and then go ahead and press that. Don't worry about it too much. If the icing happens, just turn your ices on. If you can narrow down where it's at, like you can actually just go to the outside view here. Let's see. Yeah, it's on my, it looks like it's right there on my engines. So I'm going to keep it on prop and engine de-ice. Cool. Alright, so what we want to do next is now we want to decrease our RPM for best engine efficiency. While you're climbing, you want to bring that RPM down to 98. Yes, 98. So, in order to do that, you can't just bring your RPM, the condition levers back, or else you'll overheat the engines and risk blowing them up in flight, which is not fun at all. So, in order to get rid of that, what we're going to do is we're going to bring our throttle back till this line hits that top white line. And then we'll start decreasing our RPM. So bring that back. You want to be very careful with this and make sure that your speeds aren't too low. Okay, being careful. Okay, just make it grind that line right there. There we go, good. Alright, Control F2 and just tap it till it hits 98. And you'll see that our temperature is increasing. There we go. Perfect, look at that. And then it's already at that white line. To get best engine efficiency, we want that general temperature line back at that bottom white line. So what we did is we brought it, to begin with, we brought it back to that top white line, brought our RPM down to 98, and then from there we brought our the green line on the temperature back up to that bottom white line for best engine efficiency. So right now we're at the best engine efficiency for running these engines. Perfect. We're running perfect. Okay, and you want to monitor these at all times. Don't let that temperature creep up past that line, past that red line. And good. So yeah, Control F2 to bring it back, Control F3 to bring it forward. Don't accidentally press Control F1 or else you're going to have a very sad day because your engine's going to blow up. Yeah, so be careful with that. Alright, everything's good. Make sure that, you know, you're... Oh, one thing you should do on the ground, I forgot to do this, is to go ahead and set your altimeter. It's normal weather and stuff, so it's 2992 for me, but make sure you set your altimeter so your gauges aren't all messed up. But obviously, if you want to double check with what it actually is, you can press Shift Z and the red letters will come up for your climb. So we've passed 10,000 feet, so we should turn off our taxi and landing lights, and go ahead and put your ice, since we ran into ice, we're going to put our ice observation lights on, and those will let you know if you have clear ice on your wings, which is very dangerous. So right now we passed that 1 point, so we need to go ahead and put nav. Go ahead and click your nav button, and because I passed it, it's not going to automatically go to it, because normally what it do is say on. So I'm going to go ahead and change my heading here so it follows that heading and try and intercept that course. So that was my bad. But what you want to do is you want to press that nav button before you hit that point, so that when you hit that point, your plane will automatically follow it. So go ahead and change your, I'm going to go ahead and change my heading so I run into this line here and intercept it. Get an intercept course for this point. There we go. And then when I hit it, it should automatically go back to nav. So we'll see here in a second if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm right, or else it's embarrassing. So yeah, everything's good. Climbing out is great. You can take a good view outside. Looks beautiful outside. You're probably wondering how the heck are you getting icing in Florida, but hey, it might be warm down there, but it's cold up here, you know. Alright, how we're looking. How are we looking? Good. Altitude select, this is what your autopilot should look like. Altitude select nav and indicated airspeed and altitude select. Yeah, I already said that. Already said that. And check, check your temperatures again and all that. Now when I remove the anti-icing, oh, what do you know? Yep, there we go. See, it says CAP, which means it's following cap. So when you hit that line, it'll say cap, and it means that it's tracking your flight plan that's in your FMC. So that is fantastic news. That means we're doing good so far. Great, great. So I'm just going to show you something real quick. When I turn off my engine icing, you'll notice that my temperatures decrease substantially. Look at that. It almost goes back to that white line, which means that we can increase my engine, my torque, and bring it back to that bottom line. So be very, very, very careful with that. If you turn on your anti-ices and you leave it, like if I turn my anti-ices on right now, I'd overheat the engines. So if you hit ice, remember to pull your throttle back just a little bit to that second white line, that bottom white line up there, or the upper white line, and turn your engine ices on, or engine de-ices on then. Prop de-ice, I don't believe changes the EGT. Well, let's find out. Let's see. Anything? Nope. Prop de-ice does not. Because I ran into some ice already, I'm just going to leave them on. You can turn it on short cycle or long cycle. Doesn't matter. It depends what kind of icing you're going to do. I'm just going to turn them off for now, actually. Cool. And if you want to treat your passengers and all that, turn your seatbelt signs off and all that good fun stuff. Just double check everything. One thing they tell you on the ground is you can check this knob right here checks your voltage, and it's supposed to be within limits when you start your engines up. If these are out of limits when you're trying to start up, there's nothing you can really do to fix it other than reset the plane. So if that does happen, just reset your flight sim. I've never had a problem with that in the simulator at all, so you should never have a problem with that. Trying to think of anything else currently. Let's just go through some functions in the FMC while we're flying around here. So what we're looking at right now is we're looking at our FMC. We're looking at the active flight plan page. So let's go ahead and bring that out. There we go, active flight plan page. So it'll give us our ETA to our points. So right now we're holding 3 minutes or 2 minutes till we hit Bitho, then 24 minutes till we hit, or 23 minutes till we hit VRB, then 43, then 51. Oh, that was a good beep. Don't be afraid. Don't jump out of your seat. Don't be like, oh my god, we're going to crash, we're going to die, because that's not a bad thing. That means you have reached your altitude. It's a good thing. So that little beep is saying, hey, you're just about to reach your cruising altitude. Also, obviously, I forgot to mention this, but when you're passing transition altitude, which is 18,000 feet, Switch your altimeter back to 290.92. So remember to do that when you're flying, and you can change your altimeter right here. Okay. So remember that. Change your altimeter right there. I believe there's one other place that I'm missing that you can change your altimeter. I'm not sure. I think there might be another. I think you might be able to do that FMC. But just remember to change that. Oh no, I was thinking of the secondary altimeter over there. Just remember to set your altimeter to 2992 when you pass transition altitude of 18,000 feet. But yeah, look at our flight plan. You can see our estimated time of arrival, and then if you go to VNAV, click that again, you can see our altitudes that we should be at when we're flying to our area. So we're going to be at 20,000 for a short amount of time, Vero Beach, and then we're going to hit our top of descent, and then we're going to start descending. So when we hit Bluffy, we should be no higher than 17,478. So probably 17,000. I'll just stick at 17,500 there. I'll keep decreasing to 10,000 and 2,500. And yeah, for that. That 2,500 is to hit the our intercept the ILS, which I'll go over in the next tutorial. So that's the VNAV page, which is pretty awesome. Gives you some good altitudes. And then if you go to the nav page, you can get some cool information there. Your distance, estimated time, ground speed, wind. That's some good stuff. From Bitho to Vero Beach, it'll give you your time in Zulu time. Wind again, ETA to runway 27, 19 minutes and 16 seconds. I don't believe that. Or, 19. Yeah, I don't believe that at all. Or 19:15. So, wow, that's Zulu time. What am I thinking? 19:15. Okay, I believe that. Sorry. Fuel. Your fuel at runway 27, 888. That's perfect because we should only have 800. So that's great. That gives us a little bit of leeway. You don't want to be less than 800 or else you're violating FAA regulations. Which you don't want to do. It's very bad. Drift and variation, that's part of flight tracking. So that's some good information there. I recommend just cycling through these and just reading up on them. Remaining fuel, reserve fuel, flow, how much is flowing through the engines at the time. Hours, range, how far we can go. Let's go ahead and go to our next page. So that gives you some great information on that. Your gross weight as you keep, it should decrease. And then one thing that's nice is this heading one. You can change your heading here, which is nice. And tune is a good one too because you can change your radios in there. And your navs right there. And your transponder and your ADF frequency if you're tracking ADFs. So that's all good stuff there. And so I guess in this tutorial I'll go over some flight level changes. So when we were doing our flight plan, if you notice, we were going, even though it's south in Florida, they have the north odd, south even rule because that's mostly where most flights are going, north and south. But, you know, the general rule is northeast odd, southwest even. So we're kind of going a little east, you know. So what if I want to change my altitude to 21,000? Well, that's no problem. What you want to do is you want to bring this to 21,000. Your altitude knob to 21,000. Oop, way too far. It's very touchy. Be careful with it. There we go. 21,000. Good. And then you want to go in here. Go to VNAV. Data. Go to here. 2100. 0. Enter, enter, enter. Okay, cool. We got our cruising altitude set. Now we're going to go ahead and go to Alt Select, Vertical Speed, and go Shift 3, and bring your vertical speed up. Let's just go up to 15,000 feet per minute. We're going to go up 1,000 feet. It's not going to take very long. And there you go. You're climbing. And then you'll hear that same, well, actually the beep would have sounded beforehand already. So you won't hear the beep because we're already 1,000 feet under our altitude that I selected. But that's how you change it in flight. That simple. And to descend, it's the same thing. Where are we heading? We're heading to the Vero Beach VOR, I believe, right? Right now, currently. Flight plan to Vero Beach. Cool. So let's go ahead and do some VOR, just a simple VOR track. So right now we're heading to the Vero Beach VOR, or the Treasure VOR, which is 117.3. So we'll go ahead and put that in our nav. Now you can use the FMC if you want to, but I'm going to go ahead and set it over here. So 117.3, that's convenient. Set that 2 right there, bring that up. Cool. 117.3, and then what you can do over here, if you come over to your nav area, turn this on so you can identify it. It's the microphone. You should hear it. And also, if you can see right here, nav Vero Beach, 43.2 nautical miles away. Up, and you can hear it right there. And you can check that beep with the that's the Morse code for that VOR, and you can check it with the VOR on SkyVector. If you like click on it, you can check that beep, and you know. But the identifier on this little thing right here says Vero Beach, so you know you're going the right place. You can set this one to the Vero VOR, and we're going the right direction. You can also set this to VOR as well. We are using VOR 1 for that. Yeah, and you can see that that one's doing it right. If you want to see the whole thing, full map, cool. And then you can see that we're tracking, and I'll probably make a separate tutorial for this, but we're tracking about the 335 radial from Treasure Beach, so or Vero Beach, whichever one you want to call it. I'll go more in depth on that when we're going to it. I'll go into that in a separate tutorial on VOR tracking, but basically what we're doing is the radials radiate outwards, and so we are bearing to the station of or we're heading to the station on the 335 radial from it. So that's kind of confusing. I'll have to show you. I'll do it in a different tutorial. But that's just a little bit of the basics of it. As long as you see that arrows going towards it and not away from it for this sake, then you're good. But as you see, as we start getting past it, you'll see that arrow start moving to the left a little bit more, and then once we pass it, it'll totally switch the other way, which means we passed it. So that's a little bit of radio navigation for you. You can turn that off once you identify it. It gets annoying. And that is all for this tutorial. There's really nothing else you really need to worry about right now. You have your autopilot, you're cruising. One thing you might notice over here is these little lights might flash up. That's just the fuel. The computer's changing the fuel to regulate the temperatures because we're bumping into it a little bit. So it kind of regulates the fuel flow to make it so that it don't overheat. It's a good thing. Don't worry about it. As long as none of these highlight green, like watch, if I increase the speed, look at that. As long as that does not happen, then you'll be fine. So don't let that happen. Alright, cool. Right back where it's supposed to be. A little bit. Anyways, so like I said, that is all for this tutorial. I hope you're enjoying it so far. I hope it's helping a lot of you. I hope this one's a lot better than the other ones before. I know I had a lot of volume issues. It was a bit annoying with the music and all that. So I hope this helps. I hope it's not repetitive. And I hope you guys like it. I'm enjoying making these again. It's nice to revisit and with more knowledge than I knew before, come back and just input more into it. So I'm going to go ahead and end this one where it is, and then I'm going to go ahead and fly to the destination, start it up when I'm ready to descend and land, and I'll go ahead and bring you guys back, and I'll see you guys then. So take it easy, and be ready for the next one. Bye.